I come from a poor family, yeah. We ain't never had a lot, yeah. But the Lord been good to us, yeah. Now we riding on the top, yeah. I come from a poor family, yeah. We ain't never had a
Good morning, Richie.
All right, Ray in the house.
Richie in the house.
Or in the boat.
Yeah, on the boat.
It's kind of like a plane, right? Like
in the plane.
Tell people you want to, we got to get on the plane, but really you're getting in the plane.
Yeah.
So maybe
guys,
we're getting on the boat.
We're getting on the boat, and now we're in the boat.
Now we're
Well, the sails are up, and we are rowing on the stream.
We are on the stream.
How's your morning so far, Richie?
Here we are, ready to get going. I'm doing good. How you doing, Ray?
We're all right. We got this quick coffee from 7-Eleven.
Triple shot energy Starbucks French vanilla. You are doing it and doing it right.
I didn't have time to make coffee, but a little drink from 7-Eleven will do you good sometimes.
Yep, I got the old pod.
Works fine.
It does the job.
All right, guys, we're on episode 7, and we're so stoked that things are rolling. I didn't think it would be. We just tried it out, and
here we are.
7
weeks later, about to continue to inject faith questions, things about the business, and talk about construction items. So great place for if you're a business owner, a Christian business owner, or just a regular person who wants to tune in and get some stuff from the boat life.
Yeah,
the business
the boat life. Hopefully, we are being compasses for you guys, but definitely for homeowners or people looking to buy a house.
Yep.
I think this is a great podcast. So if you guys know anyone that is in that space, man, let them know. Boat podcast, builder of all things.
Builder of all things.
All right, Rich, we're gonna get into our first stream, which is faith. So let's get right in. How do you handle the storms in your business and life?
Wow.
And so I think one thing, I'm looking at the questions here, and what are storms to you, and how do you handle them?
Yeah, storms, man. We all go through them. First and foremost, your most successful business owners, what you look at is most successful family kind of people, people you might look up to, pastors or some kind of husband and wives you look at as your role model, or a friend, or any person. We all go through storms, and especially, I think business owners and husband and wives, and we all go through it. We're going to go through a storm. So what is a storm? I mean, it could be so many things. It could be some type of trial and tribulation, in your business. Could be the finances. And as business owners, that sometimes can, things in life that happen. Somebody dies, you guys going through something in your relationship. Anything that happens, it can be part of a storm in your business because you're running it, or you're leading something. So I think all those things tie into what a storm is. In the faith, scripturally, when you think of storms, obviously there's boats involved. Most of the time, right? So one that I really been digging into, me personally, Richie, I'm going through a storm in my life right now. And, the scripture that I turned to recently in this season is Mark chapter 4, 35 through 41. I would love to read it. Let everybody kind of get the context of where I'm coming from through this story. But it's the story of Jesus going through a storm with his disciples. They were on land, and just finishing healing some people, and I think they were doing some work. Jesus was doing his thing, and then this is where the story starts. That day when evening came, he said to his disciples, "Let's go to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. And there were also other boats with him. A furious storm came up. The waves broke over the boat, and it was already filling with water. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. Or you could say a pillow. The disciples woke him up and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" And he got up, he rebuked the wind and said to the waves, "Peace, be still." And then the wind died down and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" they were terrified and asked each other, who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him, right? Yeah. So that story is very significant in so many different ways. It's been my story to kind of look at during this season of my life. We're all going through some kind of storm, mine in particular. There are like 3 perspectives you can look at this story, and I'm going to share those 3 different positions, right? Number 1, are you on the boat without Jesus? Number 2, are you on the boat with Jesus and you woke him up? Kind of like what we heard from the story. And then are you on the boat with Jesus and you don't wake him up? So those are the 3 perspectives. So whatever storm you're going through, and the storm I'm going through, it could be a death in the family. It could be, because death is hard, and that's a storm. It could be finances. Finances is your provision, your food, your bills, your next step moves, kids' diapers. I mean, finances is a big one. Business can be, things going wrong, manpower variances that you didn't count on, which kind of create finance problems, or homeowner situations, whatever it is. Could be business, life. It could be relationship with, you and your girlfriend, or a husband and wife, or a father and a son, or, so there's so many storms that are like trials and tribulations in our lives, and going through them. I think there's these 3 positions, number 1, are you on the boat without Jesus? So that is a scary place to be.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to start there, and I think that's where I'm real thankful that I have this place of faith. I have this place to know that I have a Jesus to wake up, right, or the Jesus to go to. That in certain situations, like in this in particular situation, I mean, Jesus was on the stern, asleep. Right, on a pillow, cushion, just like knocked out, right? And there's a storm happening. It said even the boat was filling with water, so he's wet. Yeah. But he's still knocked out. Like he must have been really tired from healing people. Man. That's why they said they just took him as he was, because he was probably like, man, dude, I'm beat, which is kind of cool because it shows he's human, right? Yeah. But he was asleep on the stern, and when I think of that, is like driving a car, right? When you're driving the car, so they were like looking at him like he was negligent or something. Like, hey, how come you're not helping us? Like, do you even care? Yeah. But it's like he wasn't the one driving. He wasn't at the wheel. He was like in the back of the car sleeping. He was trusting already, right? It wasn't like he was at the wheel and then fell asleep. Yeah. He was like, you guys are at the wheel. I'm gonna trust and go to sleep. So it was like knowing that. He's got that. He knows that he's a knower of all things. So having him on the boat was crucial, because if you don't, in your business or your situation, your relationship or finances or anything you're going through in life, it's like, it's if you don't have that comfort that you have, the guy who can control the waves and the winds in the back of your boat, then it's like, what do you have? Right. And so I don't have an answer to that. I don't have an answer to not having Jesus in my boat. That's a scary place to be, So that's number 1 perspective. That how do you handle the storms in your life and business? Number 1, make sure Jesus is in your boat, right? Make sure Jesus is in your boat. Number 2, if he's on the boat, if Jesus is on your boat, you wake him up. So that's the story here. Is like what I really like is that. Actually, I'm gonna skip that position. I'm gonna go on the boat with Jesus and you don't wake him up. Okay. First, and the reason why I'm gonna do that, because that's, I think, my storm. It's like I think some people get so comfortable in their faith, and they know who's in the boat, that sometimes they take the wheel and they try to go through these situations in life without waking up Jesus. And me personally, I think I get in this place of maybe confidence and overconfidence and pride, where you forget, like, Jesus is on the boat and he's sleeping and he's having faith, but I think the relationship needs to continue with God, and I think I was in a position in my life where, in the season of my life where, I wanted to take the wheel, but through the storm and things are water's starting to fill up. I think that's a connect to like, hey, don't forget who you have on the boat.
Right. Well, it's hard to gauge confidence and overconfidence and faith. But I guess that's something that you need to learn over time. Right? It's not something that you can, be like discern really, 100%. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, I think ultimately the cool thing is when they freaked out, the third position, they woke up Jesus. Their response was a little funky, right?
Yeah.
Don't you care about us? Kind of wake up, right? So I think waking him up is key, because he wants us to turn to him. He knew, right?
Yeah.
He knew all along that where they were going. So as a business owner, as a husband, as a father, and all these things in life, I think the biggest key in life is, especially if you're on the boat, know that Jesus set the GPS.
Yeah.
He said, let's go to the other side. So basically, he put in the address to
address in Waze and Google Maps.
He did. He pressed it and pressed send. So when that happens and you're on the boat, it's kind of like what we talked about before. Is like, it's going down the stream. It's going to hit his destination. There's a reason why Jesus chose that address in the GPS to have faith through that. But during the storm, during that journey, there are going to be times where you can't really just look at the view, right? And enjoy the journey like we're saying. There's some times where you got to grab the helm and realize there's a storm. But you also got to recognize that you can't do it on your own.
Yeah.
You can't survive on your own. You can't take the wheel especially I think, there's a key point in there. It says it's filling up with water. So, I mean, that's like a point where it's starting to sink.
Yeah.
Right? I think that is where that threshold is there's a point of having faith and trusting in him and things like that. And you don't reach out to him, but there's a certain point where you got to say, okay, I got to wake up. I got to pray and talk to my Lord. I know the GPS is headed this direction, but I need to have that relationship with him to wake him up. I think he didn't mind waking up. I don't think he woke up and was like irritated.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the situation. I think he was more in a response to them, like, because he didn't get up and was like, why y'all wake me up? He was more like, I got you. Boom, peace be still. But the way you woke me up, like you woke me up saying, why would I do this to you?
Yeah, that's interesting.
The way you woke me up, it's not about you waking me up. And I hear a lot of times people saying, we should just have faith and go, but then we're doing it on our own. And that's where sometimes you can get into this failure. When you start doing it on your own, you think you have control of the wheel. Yeah. And you need to let go of the wheel sometimes, especially in the storm, and wake up Jesus. But what was really cool about this, a lot of people say, Jesus will bring the peace. But it looked like when we're reading here, he actually transferred the fear. It says they were terrified and asked each other, who is this? Even the wind and waves obey. So they were scared of the storm. And then when Jesus spoke to it and it stopped, then they were scared of him. Yeah. Not scared, but they had fear of the storm and then they had fear of him. And I think that fear is more of a reverence fear. Like, okay. Yeah. Kind of like a dog or a pit bull. Imagine a big pit bull and first time somebody's kind of approaching you, and the first time you ever hear that pit bull really with his teeth, and you as behind the pit bull, like I've always loved this pit bull. We've rolled around together, but my gosh, like it just put a fear into you because you know what he can do. Yeah. But he's protecting you. Right. Yeah. He's protecting you. And that growl, so that fear that we have for the Lord is more of like a reverence, like, man, he's protecting me. He's the one that can take care of this situation. So to answer the question, how do you handle the storms in your life and business is we got to make sure, we have Jesus on the boat. And then if you do have Jesus on the boat, remember he set the GPS. You're all good. You're all good. He knows the storm's going to be there. He knows that Galilee, where they went down, there was going to be that type of storm because there always are. Yeah. Especially that path they took. So and I think the fishermen, they're all fishermen, so they understand like, hey, this path and this type of storm take people out. So there are situations in business and in life and relationships we're going to go in. We know this type of situation can take us out. We've seen it. We're fishermen. We know this type of situation that happened. It's like familiar. It's very familiar. And this is a sinker. Yeah. Right? Yeah, this is a sinker. And when you know it's a sinker, when the boat is filling up with water, you know it's a sinker. So when it's a sinker, you better go wake up Jesus.
So just to have perspective on that for our listeners, Rich, when the boat is sinking in, when the water is filling up the boat, tell me a situation in life that relates to you, like what kind of situations people might be in. For me, it's like kind of like moments when, well, it depends when if you're gonna get fired, it's for something, you did or whatever, but God taking you out of that, or what's for you
specific. I think the biggest thing in life is like relationships.
Okay.
Right. So whether it's you and your boss, or if it's not even boss, but like you and your father, you and sister, or you and a friend, or you and your wife, or you and your girlfriend. So I think the scariest things are when you, especially in like marriages, when you have a marriage and that thing could be a sinking moment, and that's a destroyer, right? Everything you're building, especially if you're in a long marriage, could be 20 years. And we all go through it. Me and my wife, we have situations where our relationship may feel like a sinker.
Sure.
And those are the moments that we can't grab the helm and think, oh, Jesus is on the boat, he set the GPS, we're all good. No, we need to wake him up. Whether we're screaming, why are we doing this or not, but make sure you wake him up.
Yeah.
Like wake him up so he can step in and take that storm and shut it up.
Yeah.
That's what he did. He said, peace be still. I think back, if you were to say that today, it would say, yo, shut up. That's what he would have said. He would like, y'all making too much noise. I'm trying to sleep. You're bothering my people. Do you remember who I am?
Yeah.
Like,
this is a Richie translation.
Sorry, yeah. But that's what he said. He said, peace be still. And he looked at them and said, I'm your pit bull. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And so that's how I handle storms, how I hope to handle storms. Because like I said, I've been that guy who didn't wake him up. And so just a reminder, even to myself and to anybody listening, is just, it's okay to wake him up.
Yeah.
Go to him. Wake him up, and he'll help you get to the GPS.
The GPS,
location. That's
awesome. Well, one thing that stood out to me, Richie, before we get to the second stream, is that giving three perspectives. That kind of gave me a switch in my head where if you're going through a situation and a season in your life, having one perspective, and that's the only, is the only one. If you only have one perspective, that's the one you're doing, correct? But if you put yourself in two different positions and look at life in a different lens or a different way of thinking, it brings you hope. It gives you hope that if you're a believer, hope in Christ, that's the main thing, that he's going to get you through something. But just for people tackling life, I think it's good to have different perspectives,
especially business owners, because things in life can affect business. And as a business owner, you have lives on the boat with you. So it's kind of like you're the captain of a boat. So it's very important as business owners to, I think, have Jesus on your boat. And if you're a non-believer in the faith, try to look at this and say, hey, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Because if I'm sinking, who am I waking up?
Right. Good stuff.
Yeah, man.
All right. Ooh, that one is a little beefy. But let's head into our second stream, Rich. We are going down the stream in business.
Yes, we are.
What should I do when a homeowner does not pay?
Oh, my gosh. I get this question a lot from like subs and different contractors. Like Richie, like how do you get them to pay? Like, and the honest truth is, we've been in situations that there are a lot of struggles and learning experiences on finalizing the payments. It's real rough if you go through a whole project and you're at the end, you've completed it, and the homeowner is holding back money on you. So that's really rough, man. That's a hard place to be. And then imagine if you have 2 or 3 of those, that could really hurt a business. On the other side of the token, I can also understand where homeowners can have the disconnect on why should I pay him if I feel this way about my project? So it's kind of like that double perspective, right? It's like, which side you're on. And right today, I think we're going to tackle what should I do when homeowners are not paying, right? So we'll maybe tackle in the future about if subs aren't finishing, what should I do as far as payments? But number one is I would say it's very important as a contractor to have a payment strategy in place, a very clear contract and payment strategy. So for us at ATN, All Things New, we make sure that we're very clear on our payment strategy. We make sure we share the percentage of down payment to reserve a start date, the next down payment to when the construction starts. You got to have progress payments in place. I think that's very important. A lot of contractors like to do 50% 50 when you're done. But I think it's very smart to break it up so you're getting paid as you go. So if at the very end, if they decide to hold a payment, it's a softer blow than 50%.
Sure.
Right. So I think progress payments are very important. Just kind of slowly take the pace through it. And then it feels fair on both sides. Because 50 in the beginning is rough.
It's a big spot. It's a big chunk.
It's a big chunk. So, 50 at the end, there was no communication. So now, but there are things a homeowner may feel that need to be complete, and they may feel the obligation to hold it. So, I think that's very important from the beginning. Have a clear contract payment strategy. So we have what's called down payment, first day of construction, multiple progress payments. And then when we get to the end, we have what's called substantial completion payment. So that's so they can move into the space. We do a walkthrough, get a punch list document. We do have a retainer to make sure we finish those punch lists. So it's a clear payment plan strategy, right?
Good strategy,
It is. And it just helps you get through the project. That helps the homeowner build confidence as you finish milestones through your project. And then it allows them to move in, but still have a retainer for these small items that you need to complete. So it's just a fair transaction. I think that's number one. Number two is have we use the NAHB, National Association of Home Builders standards. So we have a digital copy we give to the homeowner, but basically it goes through all the areas in construction and has a standard you need to complete it by. So there's a clear understanding where if you install cabinets and you're putting upper cabinets and one side is touching the ceiling, the other side is maybe a 1/4 inch gap, and you kind of can see it, but the cabinets are level. So it's like, but the homeowner wants it a certain way, but what's reality is the ceiling's off. So the NAHB standards lets you know. It takes the observation. You can look up cabinets. It tells you the observation. There's a gap. It'll tell you the tolerance, because there are tolerances in construction. With framing, with leveling things. It's not going to be perfect, but there are acceptable standards of tolerances. So if it meets the tolerance, no further action by the contractor. But if it doesn't meet the tolerance, it shows what is the corrective measure, and it tells you what to do. So that's what we use. So you're not stuck, because a homeowner can take that how far to perfection, right? And you need a place to draw that black and white line. And what we use is the NAHB standards.
That's good for both the builder and
It is. It's because sometimes homeowners are not trying to be mean. They just they need to be educated on tolerances and know where the standard is, right? So that is how we define that line. But now, say if you meet the standards, you have even a clear payment strategy in place and they're still not paying.
Ooh, this is a tough one.
Now we're getting deep. So how do you handle this situation? There's a couple things you can do as a contractor. You can file a lien on the home. Homeowners don't want that.
Oh, we're getting legal, guys.
No, I mean, if it comes to a point where you have exhausted all your reaching, hitting punch list, and they're just like, no, it's a 1/32nd. I want it perfect. And you're like, you cannot, because the material's not allowing it, because some tiles are
just
A grade.
They
have A grade tiles where there's some warpage, and you just cannot get the lippage perfect for tile companies. And so where do you that's where the NAHB comes into place. But how far can it go to perfection, right? So there has to be this tolerance level, has to be all this stuff. But if you meet everything and you're in an honest place and the homeowner's still not paying you and not being honest, like what if the homeowner hit a situation? We had a client one time that told us she came home crying, and we were at the end of the project. In my head, I had this feeling we're not getting paid. I don't know why, but I was like, oh my gosh, she knows who she is if she hears this. But God bless her heart. She was her client died where she was expecting that payment to help finalize the payment. She actually had a client die. So she was crying for mourning, but I think crying too because she was trusting in this income that's not there right now. So, she was very open. Her and her husband talked to us. Me and Tiffany came up with a payment plan for them and extended it for a very long time at the lowest amount we could. And we understood, like we worked with her, in that situation. And that's tough. So I think that's very important. If there's communication, try to work it out, try to find a way, but there has to be the communication. But if you have a homeowner that's not communicating like what it is, just basically, I ain't paying you because it ain't perfect. And you met every standard, you met it all. You can put a lien on the home. And if you put a lien on the home and that judgment clears, you can take possession of the home.
Whoa, that's crazy. If
you don't pay it in the time that they put in place, you can, because it's your property that you purchased and you put in there. That's a mechanic's lien. That's mine. I always make a joke like, if people don't pay, I'm just gonna go get back what's mine. I'm just gonna go demo it.
That's wild. That's madness.
It is madness, and it's a scary place to be for homeowners. So
I couldn't imagine why they wouldn't just pay it after saying something like that.
Yeah, it's
that's nuts.
But and then there's the next level where you can actually sue a homeowner, and then likewise, there's another side too, and I want to share the perspective of the homeowner having a bad contractor and how to handle that. But from a contractor's level, I think it's very important to know what to do and your rights. Suing is like, depending on the amounts and stuff like that, suing, it might cost a lot of money, a lot of lawyer money. So we've never sued. We've never put a mechanic's lien on a home. We've had homeowners that wouldn't want to pay. We've definitely had those that they just would not pay. And we put together a beautiful product, but they just, at the end, I don't know, maybe they're not sharing like that other client did. Maybe they're in a situation where they didn't have the money and trying to fight their way out of it. But at the end of the day, we just keep pushing, trying to meet the expectations. And finally, if we can, try to work it out. Sometimes it's better, say if, I'm just going to throw a number out there, but maybe your last payment's $25,000. It's better to take 17 than to get nothing. So sometimes it's better to say, what can you pay? Something where you can work it out and just close the deal and just say, look, let's just try to find a way to meet halfway, because it's better to get 17,000 than to be out completely 25,000, right? So, filing a mechanic's lien sounds scary, but it's true. And it's very important, for homeowners to make sure they get unconditional lien waivers from contractors. I'll just sneak that in for you for homeowners. If you do pay your contractor, make sure you get an unconditional lien waiver so they can't claim you didn't pay them.
Guys, Richie is taking in clients for business coaching. He's charging, was it 100 an hour? Something like that.
I'm not charging anything. Come to the podcast.
Guys. If you're a business owner, I'm telling you, this is good stuff to know. I mean, as a homeowner, you'd want to know what happens if you don't pay.
Yeah,
and it's crazy. I don't think they know that.
And even scarier is if you pay your general contractor and we don't pay our subs, the subs can put a lien on the home. And they may not even know. So that's scary as a homeowner. Like, if your project's $50,000, you paid your contractor $50,000, and then all of a sudden you get a letter in the mail that you have 3 liens on your home. It's because the contractor never paid the subs, and they have the legal right to put the lien on your home because that's where they put their property.
Well, good thing these systems are in place, right?
Yeah, and that's so
it saves everyone from just kind of wrongdoings.
But homeowners, pay your contractors, understand your NAHB standards. So if they meet it, like, we need to move forward. Like, we're not banks, but we have to play banks all the time. We are always in debt, not debt, but we're always ahead of what we should be paid, so we always need some kind of progress payment, to make sure we're not banking your job all the time. We have the resources and the asset and the money to fund the project, but that's not construction. Construction should be paid progressively as you hit those key components. So I think some projects get so large, we need to be mindful of homeowners. Please help your contractor out and pay them through. But I get it. 50-50 is a hard thing to do. Try to work out a progress payment plan with your contractor.
Super good learns, Rich. This is good,
Right on.
good. Beefy stuff today. Real quick, we have a little bit more time, but we're gonna head to our third quick stream.
Yeah, construction.
Why, construction, guys. Why shouldn't I buy Ryobi tools?
Oh my gosh. So I made a comment in the first podcast that, you know, the DIYers and dads, the home dads, the dad life was the Ryobi tool. And now we're getting the question, like, what's wrong with Ryobi? I think some people are like...
May have took it the wrong way. Maybe.
No, I think they have Ryobi. So...
we're going down the stream, guys.
First and foremost, I apologize to my Ryobi owners because ironically, Ryobi is owned by Tektronix, which also owns Milwaukee. It's a Hong Kong, manufacturer. So honestly, the same creator and manufacturer owns Milwaukee and Ryobi. So what's the why is there two different types of tools? Why don't they just make one? Right. So really I can't as the guy on the red team, I can't really down Ryobi. Those are like my little brothers, right? So in all reality, I'm a fan of Ryobi. The difference is when Tektronix puts these two things together, there's one made for the professional grade and there's one made for the DIYers. And they say that it's more about what they put on the tool and the cost of the tool, right? So you don't as a homeowner, you don't want to be spending $300 for a drill when there's one out there for $100 that can meet your demand.
But that's what it is, right?
Yeah, but if I buy the Ryobi where I gotta use my screw gun 8-hour days every single day, Tektronix decided to create a brand where they don't put all the bells and whistles, the bigger motor, the longer lasting life, the longer lasting battery, all these type of things. They said, let's serve both worlds. We need the professional grade. We need the guy at home that doesn't want to spend $300 on a drill, and it's not going to use it on an 8-hour day.
Exactly.
Every
That's
day
what I was
of the
say.
week.
Yeah, you're not going to be using it daily on a daily basis.
No. So Ryobi is the perfect dad tool. And so my joke from podcast number 1 is, as a professional, your tool is not going to last to meet the demand. So
and that's something you can say because you've been on the field and you understand what kind of tools work and what kind of tools are the perfect ones for the job, right?
Yeah. And I will disclose that, I own 3 Ryobi tools that are probably better than any other battery tool on the market, better than a Milwaukee tool, Makita, or a DeWalt. Because the DeWalt, Makita, and Milwaukee are the professional grade set tools, right? Battery operated tools. They just can last through the mud, man. But there are specific ones that I don't use that much and perform very well. And the 3 that I own is the pin nailer. It's a 23 gauge nail. You barely can see the nail, but you need it when you're putting together specific panels and trims and you don't want to see the nail hole. You can use what's called a pin nailer. And they have a battery operated one, which is very scary to use because you need power with the pin nail to really, push through some hardwoods and certain things. You need the power. So a battery operated pin nail versus a pneumatic, I've tried Makitas, I've tried different ones, and the nail doesn't always go through the hardwood all the way, but Ryobi pulls it off. So that's my Ryobi tool. Another one is the battery operated caulking gun. I mean, I don't need to spend, $300 on a one. I'm barely ever going to use it. I use it specifically when we're caulking showers. I have a Ryobi caulking gun, battery operated caulking gun. And the last one I have is the hot glue gun, battery operated hot glue gun. So we use those usually when we want to tack something up to allow it, because it's so fast setting. So like baseboard on concrete, instead of drilling screws in the concrete, which is a lot of work and it's not efficient, we glue it and push it up. But sometimes you need corners to hold together. You can use hot glue to hold it so the glue in the back can have time to set, because the hot glue is a quick moment to put it together. So what I hate about hot glue guns is you always got to plug them in, and then you got to drag around the cord and try to use them when you're doing certain trims. But having a battery operated hot glue gun is amazing, because then it's battery.
It's convenient.
There's no cords. It can go wherever you want. So all disclosed, I have 3 Ryobi tools. I am a fan of it for the dad life. I think it's very important not to overspend on tools you don't need. I think it's a perfect fit for your DIYers, but there are some specific tools in there. Depending on what you do in the professional world, those tools might be ideal for your everyday budget of tool buying.
Yeah, well, it's similar to cameras, Rich. There's certain camera brands that have good that they have strengths in, so like autofocus or low light, whatever it is. But the main thing is buy the perfect tool for the perfect job. For the job.
Yeah,
right.
That's it. You nailed it.
Yeah,
nailed it. You nailed it.
Nailed it with the Ryobi.
With the Ryobi. You pin nailed it, man.
We got. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Just buy the perfect. Every tool has utilizes its full potential in a specific job. That's all it is. Yeah. That's it. But thanks for
did it, man. Yeah, thank you, Ray. Thank you for getting on the boat. I felt like we had this was a good Wednesday.
It was a good Wednesday. Yeah, it's always
awesome.
nice, always good. There's some beefy stuff. Guys, once again, just a reminder, if you are a homeowner or a business owner, please get on the podcast or tell your friends about it. We'd love for you guys to spread the news. But Richie, that's going to do it for this Wednesday, episode 7.
Episode 7. So next week we're going to have a special guest.
Hey!
It's the last episode of the month. Every 4 episodes we bring in a guest. So surprise guest next week.
Surprise, 6 a.m. in the morning. Every Wednesdays, right?
Yep. That's it. Every Wednesday.
All right, guys.
See you on the boat.
I come from a poor family.